Something's already started to wear down here. Let's see how this gearbox looks here. Listen, so this is what it looks like inside. Welcome to another episode of Tool Academy. Listen, we're continuing this GISAM series, but well, this is the last machine, so I don't bore you. This time something other than workshop tools. It's generally the beginning of June, so a bit of a hot topic, and that is, wait for it, a cordless mini chainsaw. We bought the saw for this much money, which is roughly the value of, I think, 3 or 4 chains from a professional manufacturer. And in the set, we have the saw itself, a power supply. This time, not a laptop one, but geez, I don't know, maybe a tablet one, but the weight hasn't changed much. Listen, 2 batteries. That's totally crazy. 2 batteries, this time with a killer capacity of 198 volt farads or whatever that means. But well, 2, and even charged, look. This one's stuck on a bit crooked, but it's charged. The box is very eco-friendly. Instruction manual, let's see, maybe we'll find something interesting here. You'd like that, but sorry. And what do we have in this package? We have this funny little guide bar, we have the cover for it, we have some parts for mounting the bar, we have a chain, and we have a high quality screwdriver that's dual purpose. Let's try to assemble it. And to start with, you know what I'll tell you, I didn't even know, to be honest, when I bought it, but imagine this, it's equipped with an oil tank. Check for yourselves if the smallest steel is equipped with an oil tank. Well, we have a pump here, so we have to prime it manually. It's a primer bulb like, I don't know, in a brush cutter or a saw, but if we click it, it'll lubricate it, right? We have chain tensioning on this little knob, also a very cool feature. Some kind of guard, I don't know, so you don't get hit by sticks on your hands, cool. Rubberized handle, it even has some, so to speak, weight to it. We'll check. It's interesting whether it's brushless because I don't see any info here. We'll dig into it later at the service shop and see. I think so, because actually these brushless motors in this cheaper budget version without Hole sensors, they are, listen, mass-produced and are much cheaper to produce than brushed motors, which is why manufacturers love them so much, and on top of that, they brag about it being super technology, which in my opinion isn't quite the case. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, I'll try to set it up, we'll start it up and see what it can do for us here. Listen, I've got the saw assembled. This is what it looks like. As for some first impressions, well, even with this little battery, it weighs nothing. Very small, light and handy, so if you have some cherries next door or interesting Christmas trees, it's a great thing, I recommend it. A very small and clever device, lightweight, like a reciprocating saw for cutting out catalytic converters. As for the build itself, a nice rubber handle, rubberized, I mean, well, it holds together well. Overall, it's not too wobbly or anything. I really like this chain tensioning, great feature. As for the build itself, we can start it up. And we have this gadgety display here, which probably shows us the battery charge level. We have an oil tank, we have a little pump that we press a few times to lubricate the chain, so that's cool. The guide bar and chain itself, well, just like in any such device, but well, I don't have good experiences with these chains. I don't actually have this device, I personally have a Cordless brand device, or rather I had one because I broke it. The device had the same chain I bought a chain with a 1/4 pitch somewhere at a local dealer. Of garden equipment, he made me such a chain because he didn't have that specific length. I went to my allotment somewhere to cut bushes, small branches like that. When that chain got dull, I put on the second one. The second one was slightly, I don't know, more aggressive, sharp, hard to say, and that chain damaged the gearbox in my Cordless saw. The saw went into the trash. However, we'll see how this gearbox looks here, but I'm warning you right at the start. What else didn't I like there, but I like here? There, the guide bar was a bit shorter, so the chain wouldn't fit on my electric sharpener. Well, I just couldn't fit it in there. It was too small, so I had to use a file. And what's more, well, generally that's how it looks as far as the build goes. I think temperature doesn't make sense here. I'm curious, and probably you are too, regarding the build. So I invite you to the workshop. Listen, the saw itself. Almost a kilo, 990 grams. With the larger battery, 1,528 grams. With the smaller battery, it's, well, 1,300 basically. A kilo 30. The saw itself, a kilo. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a closer look at what exactly is inside, shall we? Listen, well, this is what it looks like inside. The motor I see is brushless, tiny. We have a lubrication system here, which is generally implemented this way. A pump like in a carburetor, a tiny oil tank. This spring that you see here is probably actually a check valve, which is a component that helps control the flow of fluid. And through this hose it flows. Oil to this spot, and here it's simply delivered when this primer bulb is pressed. So very simple, but how helpful, as you might call it. Here we have the whole display. Further on we have the electronics, which we've already seen a few times. 2-pin terminal, switch. The switch looks like this. Ordinary simple. So, let's get to the motor. Listen, this is what the drive transfer to the wheel looks like. The gear that goes onto the output sprocket. Everyone can see how much grease there is, but probably more than in the grinder from the previous episode. Let's try to remove this plastic housing. We'll get to the motor. Okay? And we have such a tiny little motor. Well, an interesting design. Actually, I haven't taken many of these devices apart. Nice brushless, but it looks like a classic screwdriver style brushed one. Let's see what's sitting inside there. Listen, and I think this is where the adventure with taking this motor apart will end. I could go even deeper, but I don't want to break the damn thing. The thing is, these plastic covers are put on first, then the gear is heat pressed on. On one side, and on the other side is a fan that has a metal core. It's all pressed in. I don't know if it's balanced later, probably not, but I wouldn't want to pull it off, because if I do, I probably won't be able to put it back together, I think. A classic brushless motor that definitely doesn't have hole sensors. As for the bearings, from what I can observe here, they are ball bearings for sure, on both sides. We just have wire wound coils, and that's how it looks. Well, I don't want to rip it apart further because I'd still like to use this saw a bit, so that's how it looks. The gear looks like this. The large receiving gear looks like this. The bearing is made with a tolerance, like you see, meaning it wobbles around quite a bit here. The gear is made with a tolerance like you see. Something's already started eating at it here in terms of rust, but let's say it gets some oil here and it'll be fine. Well, this worries me. This wobbles sideways terribly. There's absolutely no precision here. It's made completely haphazardly, and that's how it looks. A simple, basic little saw for a few pennies. It seems to me it costs as much as a few chains for a professional saw of this type. If anything breaks, of course we can throw it away because there are absolutely no parts for it. Well, maybe this particular switch, because I have seen switches just like this one, or at least very similar ones, several times before, available somewhere on our popular online marketplace, so it could probably be replaced if needed. It has a very simple and straightforward design, just like basically most or almost all of these kinds of devices that belong to this class. So now I'm finally getting around to putting this back together, and let's go ahead and try to cut something here, shall we? Listen, maybe it's a bit of overkill, but we have this little stump here that we use for testing. You see how it looks. It's turned into a bit of an accordion. So let's try and see how this saw bites into a log like this. Well, I'll tell you, it's not bad. I was pressing quite hard. I'll try to stop it, see how much force it takes. I'll tighten the chain a bit because, as you see, it loosened quite a bit after the first cut. We'll use the super pump to carefully lubricate the chain, making sure it's well oiled, and then keep going. The chain has loosened again. Well, I can stop it with one hand easily, so it's nothing special. Listen, let's just try to cut off a smaller one. Well, there'll be a problem with a smaller one, but well, I've sunk it in. Oh, the chain again. Listen, the machine generally, after making, I don't know, 4 or 5 cuts at about 3/4 depth of this guide bar, it's clearly lost power, even though the battery is supposedly full, as the display shows us, but I can feel it's lost rotational speed, it's lost power. Well, it's nothing special, to be honest. As for the wood chips, well, they're fine, quite fine. The chain is new. Of course, these were the first cuts with this machine, very fine. But that's generally due to the chain pitch. It's probably even less than 1/4. For some small bushes, absolutely. I think for some diameter up to 5 centimeters, the device would be suitable. For larger ones or for dry wood, I wouldn't really recommend it.